Welcome back to the Breakfast Show 2. The midterm election is next week, and we're talking to candidates for the vacant Missouri House District 147 seat. Today we have John Voss, the Republican candidate. Good morning, John. Thanks so much for being here with us. So first, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and why you're running.
Sure. So I'm a hometown boy, born and raised here in Cape Girardeau, and lived in the district for more than 50 years, and really just found myself in an intersection of life where I previously served on the city council and really enjoyed that time, and was able to retire 3 years ago and have a little gas left in the tank, as they say. And so I'm really looking forward to contributing back to making Cape Girardeau grow and prosper.
Most definitely. And so there really just one particular thing that made you want to run for office?
You know, it was actually Janice and I's oldest son was a page in the United States Senate in Washington, D.C., and that really was inspiring for me. And I think I can make a difference for our community, and that's why I really want to go to Jeff City and represent Cape Girardeau.
And so then for you, what's the main issues that you think need to be addressed within the district?
Well, if you've not bought gas lately, you know it's pretty expensive, and groceries are certainly higher than they were just a year ago. In fact, they're at 40-year highs. And so I think the first thing that we need to do is get control of spending in Washington, D.C., and to protect ourselves in Jefferson City to make sure that some of those policies don't trickle down there and affect everyday lives. And
so then what's something you may do differently or try to change if elected?
You know, I'm a common sense conservative, and so there are some really nonpartisan issues I think we can work on. As you mentioned in the intro, we don't have a representative today, and the way that gets filled is the governor's supposed to call for a special session. And I'd like to see that change to where instead of being at the prerogative of the governor, it's driven by a clock, much like a lot of other things. And then there's some other everyday things as well. I'll give you another quick example where I think government may be spending money not as wisely as we can. Our government has spent money to both promote the growth of tobacco products in our state as well as having tobacco and smoking cessation programs at the same time. And I'm not sure that's really a good use of government money.
And so then obviously the economy is at the top of mind for most voters. If you're elected, what would you do to help constituents put more money into their wallets?
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is take a look at all of our taxes and try and reduce our taxes as much as we can. Sometimes you have to force that by reducing the size of government. So if you take a look at our combined load of federal income tax, state income tax, local and state sales tax, excise taxes, property taxes, we're approaching 40-some%. If we could give 5 or 10% back to a hardworking American, I think our economy would explode.
And so then working in a bipartisan manner, that can be important in politics. How would you work across the aisle if elected?
You know, I think we have more in common with our neighbors and friends than we realize. Sometimes we become a little polarized based on the news that we hear. And if you just sit down and talk and listen, you know, I used to be a scoutmaster, and I tell my scouts all the time, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I think He expects you to use those in that proportion. So if we really sit down and talk, people want to be safe, people want to be free, they want to have the liberty to do what they've been enshrined in our Constitution. I think we can all agree on those types of things.
What are you most looking forward to for the midterms, for this election on Tuesday? It's coming up fast.
Well, first of all, I'd like for it to be over. So if you've never run for office, it's kind of nerve-wracking, and I feel like I'm in a really good shape right now. But I'm really excited to get to Jeff City, to meet some of my future colleagues, to press my priorities, to understand what theirs are, and then to work together as a team, because nothing's ever done in isolation. It's always a team effort to get things done, and whether it's Washington, D.C., or in Jefferson City, or even on the local city council.
Most definitely. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And just a reminder, the election, that is next Tuesday, November 8th. We will be right back.